The fourth episode of Tell Me Lies' third season, aptly titled Threads Unraveled, is the emotional and narrative powder keg the season has been meticulously building toward. Set against the deceptively joyful backdrop of Bri and Evan's wedding reception, the episode expertly intertwines multiple character arcs, stretching them taut until they snap with devastating consequences. This isn't just plot progression, it's a pivotal hour where long-buried secrets claw their way to the surface. Loyalties burn, and characters are forced to face the monsters they've helped create. The episode opens with the fragile optimism of Bri and Evan's wedding day. Having survived Evan's infidelity and the heartbreak of losing their child, the couple embodies a delicate hope for redemption. Bri, radiant yet anxious, seeks a final moment of reassurance from her closest friend, Wrigley. Their exchange brims with history and intimacy that transcends simple friendship, a silent language of shared glances and unspoken support that Evan, despite his love, cannot reach. This opening scene establishes the profound and potentially dangerous bond between Bri and Wrigley, the fulcrum around which the episode pivots. Meanwhile, the other central figures orbit the celebration like satellites of dysfunction. Lucy, weighed down by the lie she told about Pippa's assault, drifts through the reception as a ghost. Her attempt to seek guidance from Diana, the only person she believes can understand moral compromise, fails spectacularly. Diana, consumed by her own life-altering crisis, rebuffs Lucy with chilling coldness, signaling the collapse of Lucy's support system. Stephen, ever the predator in a tailored suit, navigates the crowd with calculating precision. His storyline with Diana reaches a climactic moment, not in the light of the celebration, but in a tense, secluded confrontation away from the music and laughter. The episode's middle section is a masterclass in tension, delivering two consecutive confrontations that reshape the series' landscape. First comes Diana and Stephen's final reckoning. Diana, exuding cold, furious clarity, confronts Stephen about her pregnancy. In what critics call the episode's most blistering line, she declares, "I am so excited to abort your baby, it's going to be the highlight of my year." This is not the statement of a scared young woman. It is the proclamation of a powerful individual reclaiming her agency with surgical precision. She frames her decision as an act of self-preservation, severing herself from Stephen's toxic influence. For a manipulator who thrives on control, this is an unprecedented defeat. No lies to spin, no schemes to manipulate. Diana exits, slamming the door on a major chapter of Stephen's life, leaving him humiliated and primed for vengeance. Simultaneously, Lucy's fragile world crumbles. Pippa's Title IX case reaches a critical point, and under mounting pressure and guilt, Lucy's fabricated story unravels. In a panicked, misguided attempt at redemption, she posts a public apology on social media, which only exposes her lie further and re-traumatizes Pippa. Her catastrophic failure isolates her from Pippa, Drew, and any remaining credibility. These twin crises set the stage for the episode's devastating climax at the wedding reception. Stephen, reeling from Diana's rejection and desperate to reclaim control, seizes an opportunity. A casual glance or overheard whisper sparks his suspicion about Bri and Wrigley. In a calculated move, he takes Wrigley's phone and uncovers a trove of calls and FaceTimes between Wrigley and Bri. The confirmation that Wrigley is Bri's mysterious confidant, the person she has turned to in her darkest moments. Whether this relationship crossed physical boundaries is almost irrelevant. The secrecy itself represents a profound betrayal of Evan and the group's dynamics. Stephen's reaction is chilling. Not shock, but vindicated triumph. He now holds a live grenade and the pin is pulled. The episode likely closes on his face, a dark mix of rage, satisfaction, and malicious intent, as he realizes the power he wields to destroy multiple lives with a single revelation. This secret threatens not just a marriage, but the foundation of friendships and trust within the entire group. Threads Unraveled pushes the season's core themes forward. The corruption of innocence is stark. Bri and Evan's wedding, a symbol of pure commitment, is poisoned from within by hidden betrayals. Agency versus manipulation is brought into sharp relief. Diana's decisive action is a victory for agency, contrasting sharply with Lucy's reactive chaos and Stephen's predatory control. The weaponization of intimacy, The secret between Bree and Wrigley emerges as a ticking time bomb poised to wreak havoc in the wrong hands. By the episode's end, Diana exits the narrative scarred but empowered. Lucy is isolated, exposed, and facing real-world consequences for her lies. Steven, defeated yet armed with a catastrophic secret, is more dangerous than ever. Bree and Wrigley remain blissfully unaware that the foundation of their secret world has been breached, and Evan, the tragic figure, celebrates a new beginning, oblivious to the betrayal about to destroy it. In conclusion, Episode 4 is the season's turning point. It dismantles existing storylines, escalates others to crisis, and unveils the hidden fault line that will trigger the season's final catastrophe. By transferring the power of the group's most carefully guarded secret into the hands of its most volatile member, Threads Unraveled guarantees emotionally charged fallout, setting the stage for a devastating conclusion. The episode opens with the fragile glow of hope surrounding Bree and Evan's wedding day. After surviving the storms of infidelity and unbearable grief, the couple represents a tentative chance at redemption. But the joy is a delicate facade. Bree, radiant yet tense, clings to a quiet intimacy with Wrigley, her unspoken confidant, whose presence has been a constant throughout her darkest moments. The scenes immediately establish that this bond is not casual. It is a web of emotional dependency, a sanctuary that exists outside Evan's perception and beyond the audience's initial understanding of loyalty and love. Wrigley's support is steady, silent, and profound, a stark contrast to Evan's visible but limited attempts to hold their world together. The opening moments are deceptively calm, allowing viewers to settle into the beauty of the occasion while simultaneously planting the seeds of tension. Every glance, every subtle touch between Bree and Wrigley hints at a deep-seated secret, a truth poised to ignite the narrative bomb that will detonate later. Meanwhile, the rest of the group navigates the wedding like orbiting satellites, each carrying their own dysfunctions and moral compromises. Lucy drifts through the celebration like a shadow, weighed down by the catastrophic lie she is told about Pippa. Her attempt to find solace or guidance in Diana, someone she believes understands the moral gray areas of life, fails spectacularly. Diana, embroiled in a personal crisis of her own, meets Lucy's plea with cold dismissal, signaling the complete collapse of Lucy's support system. Isolation and guilt begin to twist her movements and decisions, making her increasingly vulnerable and reactive. Steven, the ever-predatory presence, prowls the edges of the celebration with calculated precision. He is always watching, always measuring, and always ready to manipulate. His eyes settle on opportunities long before the other characters even sense them, setting the stage for the pivotal moments where control will shift, loyalties will fracture, and the consequences of secrecy will become unavoidable. The tension intensifies as the episode delves into two concurrent storylines that exemplify the show's core themes of agency versus manipulation. Diana confronts Steven in a private, intense encounter, delivering a speech that is sharp, precise, and devastating. She declares her autonomy in a way that simultaneously severs her ties to Steven and asserts her power. Her decision to terminate her pregnancy is framed not as a loss, but as an act of reclamation, a surgical excision of the influence Steven has attempted to exert over her. For Steven, who thrives on dominance and deceit, this is a blow unlike any he has encountered, a total loss of control, leaving him exposed and humiliated. Diana's victory is not just personal. It represents the triumph of agency in a world riddled with manipulation, a moment of clarity amid chaos. Simultaneously, Lucy's carefully constructed world begins to crumble. The subplot surrounding Pippa's Title IX case reaches its breaking point. Pressure from investigators and the weight of her guilt cause Lucy's facade to shatter. In a panic-driven attempt at confession, she takes to social media to publicly apologize, but her attempt at redemption only deepens her downfall. Instead of fixing her mistake, Lucy exposes the full extent of her deception, further isolating herself from her peers and re-victimizing Pippa. Her failure is monumental. The audience sees that despite previous growth, Lucy remains dangerously susceptible to self-preservation instincts that blind her to the damage she causes. The collapse of her narrative mirrors the unraveling of the broader social fabric surrounding Bree, Evan, and the rest of the group, reinforcing the episode's central thesis that hidden truths, when left unchecked, inevitably erupt with destructive force. As these twin arcs unfold, the wedding reception continues as a backdrop, juxtaposing celebration with escalating tension. Beneath the music and laughter, the audience is acutely aware of the ticking clock. The secrets, the lies, and the unspoken connections that have been festering are all on the verge of eruption. Every small interaction, every exchanged glance is charged with foreshadowing. The meticulous pacing ensures that by the midpoint of the episode, viewers are fully invested, anxiously anticipating the collision of emotional truths and hidden betrayals. The foundation has been laid for what promises to be a catastrophic climax, where relationships will be tested and the carefully maintained equilibrium of the friend group will fracture irrevocably. The wedding reception, a scene of joy and celebration on the surface, slowly transforms into a powder keg, its fuse lit by the invisible tensions simmering among the guests. Every smile masks an ulterior motive. Every toast carries an unspoken warning. And the camera, or in our case the narrative, draws the audience into a web of impending disaster. It is here, amid the laughter and clinking glasses, that the first real cracks begin to appear. Bree and Evan may seem wrapped in love and optimism, but their bubble of happiness is precarious, and Wrigley's presence looms like a silent storm on the horizon. Their bond, forged in secrecy and emotional dependency, is the thread that the entire episode threatens to snap. The subtle intimacy between them, a shared glance, a barely audible sigh, a reassuring touch, becomes more than a mere character detail. It is the narrative fulcrum on which all subsequent chaos pivots. The audience senses it immediately. Something monumental is about to shatter the illusion of normalcy. Stephen, the predator cloaked in charm and control, moves through the reception like a shadow among sunlight. He watches with calculating precision, waiting for the moment where the hidden fracture lines in the group's relationships are exposed. For years, he has thrived on manipulation, and now, for the first time, the opportunity to wield ultimate leverage presents itself. His suspicion, an intuition born from observing Wrigley and Bree's clandestine connection, leads him to a calculated act that will ignite the episode's explosive climax. In one swift, almost casual move, he seizes Wrigley's phone. This act is deceptively simple, but its consequences are monumental. Within that device lies the evidence of years of secret calls, FaceTimes, and emotional confessions between Bree and Wrigley, the invisible threads of intimacy that have supported her in ways Evan never could. This is not just a secret, it is a live grenade, and Stephen now holds the pin. The tension is visceral. Stephen's reaction is not one of shocked disbelief, but of dark, vindicated triumph. He recognizes immediately the power he now possesses, the ability to unravel every relationship, every friendship, and every carefully maintained secret in a single, devastating revelation. This moment transforms Stephen from a lurking threat into an active catalyst for destruction. The narrative makes it clear that what happens next will not be a subtle collapse, but a violent, emotional implosion. For the audience, the dread is almost tangible. The knowledge that everything Bree and Wrigley have protected in secrecy is now vulnerable, and the potential for devastation is total. The episode builds this tension meticulously, alternating between intimate moments of personal reckoning and the looming threat of exposure. Every character's emotional trajectory converges toward this point, creating a sense of inevitability that keeps viewers on edge. While Stephen's discovery represents the most immediate danger, other characters are simultaneously reaching the apex of their own crises. Diana, empowered by her decision to reclaim control over her own body and life, exits her confrontation with Stephen with a newfound sense of agency. She is no longer at the mercy of manipulative forces. She has acted decisively and emerged stronger. In stark contrast, Lucy's collapse is complete. Her desperate public confession about Pippa exposes her lies and isolates her from everyone she has ever relied upon. While Diana's arc represents the triumph of clarity and agency, Lucy's story demonstrates the catastrophic consequences of indecision, panic, and moral compromise. These parallel storylines deepen the tension, highlighting the spectrum of human behavior when faced with high-stakes betrayal and revelation. The episode uses these intersecting arcs to craft an atmosphere of mounting dread. The wedding, once a symbol of hope, is now a theater of potential disaster. Every toast, every conversation, every exchange glance carries weight. The audience becomes acutely aware that the culmination of hidden truths, the long-simmering betrayals, and unspoken loyalties will collide in an unforgettable climax. The stakes could not be higher. A single revelation threatens to destroy marriages, friendships, and the fragile semblance of social order that has held the group together. In Threads Unraveled, the narrative does not just hint at impending disaster, it shows the fuse has already been lit, the pin pulled, and the explosion is imminent. By the time Stephen fully grasps the scope of what he holds, the tension has reached a fever pitch, leaving viewers teetering on the edge of suspense, knowing that the fallout is about to be catastrophic and yet powerless to avert the coming storm. The real devastation of Episode 4 lies not in dramatic gestures or loud confrontations, but in the quiet, crushing way, secrets begin to surface and betrayals reveal themselves. Threads Unraveled meticulously dissects the anatomy of betrayal, showing how trust can be eroded silently over years and how one revelation can destabilize an entire world. Bree and Wrigley's relationship, the emotional anchor for much of the season, suddenly transforms from a source of solace to a potential weapon. The intimacy they shared, secret calls, late-night FaceTimes, confessions whispered in the dark, was always hidden, carefully separated from Evan's knowledge. But now, in Stephen's hands, those private moments are exposed, stripped of their nuance and context, ready to be twisted into a story of manipulation, dishonesty, and emotional infidelity. The betrayal is not just personal, it is structural, threatening to unravel the delicate web of friendships, romantic relationships, and trust that binds the group together. Stephen's discovery is precise and predatory. He doesn't react with emotional outbursts. His triumph is clinical, cold, and calculated. For him, this is more than a secret. It is a tool, a weapon that will allow him to assert dominance and control in a way he never could before. The episode emphasizes the psychological horror of this moment. Stephen is no longer merely a dangerous presence in the group, he is now the executor of chaos, holding the power to dismantle relationships with a single revelation. Every viewer recognizes the imminent danger, sensing the moral and emotional fallout that will ripple through each character. Even the most minor interaction, like Wrigley glancing at Stephen with casual warmth, becomes loaded with tension, as the audience knows the truth of their bond and the magnitude of Stephen's potential betrayal. Meanwhile, the other character arcs mirror this slow, devastating collapse, each reflecting a different facet of betrayal. Diana, who previously confronted Stephen and reclaimed agency over her life, serves as a stark contrast. She uses honesty and decisive action as a shield, emerging empowered rather than exposed. Lucy, by contrast, experiences the full consequences of her dishonesty. Her panicked social media confession about Pippa not only fails to redeem her, but actively worsens her situation, creating a ripple effect of isolation and guilt. The juxtaposition between Diana and Lucy underscores one of the episode's central lessons. Agency and honesty offer a form of protection, even if painful, while manipulation and secrecy inevitably invite catastrophe. Each character's journey in this section feels inexorably tied to the others, like gears in a machine of emotional destruction, slowly grinding toward a point where the threads can no longer hold.